Good morning, everybody. Jason Kenney, triple hat trick, moronic, unbelievable. We're going to get into that this morning early. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. And the amount of tags I had, just terrific messaging. I do want to apologize to friends and followers on birthdays. I get so many messages and comments, literally birthday messages, and I got to figure that out. I try now when I do catch the pop-ups in time, but they don't always come at the right time of the day, and if I made too many posts, they're gone, and I lose the messages. I do lose a lot of messages from all of you. I don't comment as much as I should on comments, because when I take the time to do that, it just adds to the comment count with the Facebook, and I find that goes. But I see early here we got some activity, not a whole lot, but that's okay. There's a few of you. Like I said, it's super early and extremely early out west, but I want to get it in. So Jason Kenney, 3 major things yesterday, and they're literally hammered in concession. And what was unbelievable, he tries for the final act of his day to reinvigorate equalization, and how Alberta's going to hold a referendum on equalization. Canadians, Albertans, one thing you all need to know: equalization is not the only issue. It's rather large for the province of Alberta. It does negatively affect Alberta, extremely. And it's wrong how the formula's been rewritten several times. And it's all political, Canada needs to understand this. Those equalization receiving provinces need to understand something too, and so do Albertans. There's another half of the story the Conservatives will never tell you, even though they exploit. Of all parties, it is the Conservatives, absolutely, who exploit the equalization formula. Did you know that filthy Justin Trudeau, and I really dislike the man, okay? I don't like Liberals. I grew up in Alberta. That's me. That's a lot of families in Alberta who were devastated, not only by Trudeau's father, but again, by Trudeau Jr., and that's reality. But it didn't start or end with either of them. The reality is, preceding both Pierre Elliott Trudeau, preceding both Justin Trudeau, it was the Conservative Party of Canada who absolutely, in the fashion of communist China, embraced and rewrote the equalization formula. I've written tremendous amounts about this over the years, tremendous amounts, and several times I've had publications put out. The websites no longer exist. I've moved on from that. Those publications are gone. They were press releases, but they're still valid today. It's on my timeline. Should you choose to do a name search, my name, and add equalization, you can also add centralization, and you will get a big picture. But I don't want to get ahead of myself here. I want to backtrack. All receiving equalization provinces and Alberta who struggles with equalization, there is also a centralization formula. The centralization formula does not fall into the equalization receiving provinces. It's just as devastating to Alberta specifically than equalization. We're only about $1 billion out. It is a total of nearly $52 billion now in debt financing against Alberta, which is ultimately against Canada too. Canadians don't know these things. I know that. I know economists from the right side, the Conservatives, will give you only half of the narrative. Liberals, NDP on the left side, only give half the narrative. If you put them together, you get the full narrative. But politicians don't want to do that because they're working together. The old analogy of the bird with 2 wings, That's exactly what's happening. And they flip-flop back and forth, devastating two halves of a country over and over, absolutely led by Upper and Lower Canada. This is reality. I've proven it time and time again. I know even Albertans still are struggling with this, because I saw, as I was tagged by some really great folks out west, and even here in the east now, tagged me in several posts. One lady for sure, but you know what? I'm not going to tag you guys without permission. I did have a number of not nasty messages, but people letting me know that the things they share with me, they don't wish to have their names published. I'm bad. I should have asked. Usually I do. It's just I've been so tremendously busy, friends and followers. It's just that overwhelming for me these days. And the messenger is huge for me. And I know that's fear. I know I come out strong. I'm in a fortunate position. I'm lucky in the union I'm at, where I'm at in life. Although it costs to do what I do, and it costs me, I also have the fortune of great freedoms that are not afforded to the average Canadian. I know that. But no, it comes at a great cost to myself as well too. But I do understand that I am still in a good place, where at least I'm protected by a majority of people in a specific group, and that does help me to be able to do what I do without worrying about the consequences, especially provincially in civil rights. I'm very fortunate to be where I'm at, that I don't have to have those fears like so very, very many of you. And I do get that. And I should sometimes take a step back and appreciate the fact that although a lot of you, and I love it, I love the work a lot of you do, and when you get out in these publications and you share them with me, and I don't want that to end, especially when I'm busy. Today was just a mother load of such great things, and it's led to several lives that are going to be logged on my timeline forever. And that's the beautiful part about internet. But we're going to get back to it now. So what is Jason Kenney saying? I put Financial Post in here, everybody. What has Financial Post published, which they always do, that's an absolute lie? Well, we're going to focus for Westerners and equalization receiving provinces. What's the big lie? How is the Financial Post extremely paid off to perpetuate this? Well, one, they use economists, which is what I went to school for. The problem is economists are great at punching in numbers, great at analysis and formulas, running statistics, and giving you a perspective. The problem is its absence of law. And I've learned this. One thing I've learned as I went through political science and real practical political science very, very successfully, is that there was a side of law I had to explore. That became very evident to me when I built a party, the provincial party, registered it. And when I got to that stage, when it was done and I ran in a majority as a third-class citizen, that I learnt the absolute autocracy, the absolute real legal system of Canada, the back door, behind the scenes, colonial crown power of our Constitution. I didn't know any better, you guys. That's the truth. And when I got to that point, when I realized that everything I had promised all of you, as big as my heart was, that I would never, ever be able to deliver in this broken confederation, in this absolute legal system that gives the power to the few, the autocrats. And it threw me for a loop. I had to go back. So in equalization, Jason Kenney says he's going to have a referendum to fight equalization. Well, let's look at legally what is equalization and why. Well, Financial Post does half of the narrative, and it's accurate. The problem is they're in absence of absolute law. And unfortunately for all of you, Jason Kenney is the one responsible with Stephen Harper for creating the formula as it is today. Pierre Poilievre promises to write it over again, expanding it even more, Albertans. Pierre Poilievre. If you don't share this video by the time I'm done, especially for Albertans, you know what? You get what you deserve because you ignore the absolute legal ramifications. The absolute publication, February 21st. Western Standard does it. They've banned me from their platform, absolutely, because they want to carry the conservative lie. That should really scare every Albertan, because what is it that they're going to do if they're so into the Western Independence Party of Alberta, WIPA? What are they going to do if they're not going to go with the absolute truth? And it is this. The equalization formula falls in Section 91 of the Constitution of Canada. In order to break equalization, you need 7 provinces to absolutely vote it away. 7 out of 10, among all kinds of other stipulations, not the least of which is Governor General, who is appointed by Justin Trudeau, or if Aaron O'Toole was to win election, he would have absolute control of that. And again, Pierre Poilievre publishes February 21st in absolute support of Quebec that they will expand that program. Specifically, he names 2 cities, one of which falls in the other half, the centralization formula, that being Toronto, Ontario, and a massive transfer of wealth, as well as Montreal and Quebec City. He absolutely expands equalization to absolutely try and win the election coming in 2023, or if Trudeau was to call an early one. That's what they're doing. That is the Constitution of Canada, and with the weight of voting, that's absolutely what's going to happen. Because not only do you need a majority of provinces, Albertans, you also need to win a bulk of the population in the voting base. There is a number there of what you have to win. You can't win it if Quebec and Ontario vote against you. And Ontario is going to vote against you in massive number. If you don't believe it, it's not rigged elections, it's not voting machines, because I can tell you there's never been voting machines used federally in Canada, ever. The Conservative Party uses them, the CCP. They've been using them for a long time. People are angry about it. They wonder how these radical ideologies enter the Conservative Party. How do these people win? Well, they use the voting machines. If you want to look at it that. Ontario and Alberta absolutely use the voting machines. They were used in my election 2019. Now, I don't even throw it out there that they're corrupt or not. I believe for a fact in Elections Alberta. I met them all in 2019. You will never, ever see a live by any other individual that's ever put as much time into Elections Alberta as I have. I've put in many, many board meetings. They all treated me extremely well, and they were completely transparent. I have full faith in Elections Alberta. Voting machines are also used in many, many municipal elections all across Canada. I can see that if you allow mail-in ballots after the voting polls have closed, you can corrupt an election. And possibly you could corrupt an election if you had access to the program for the voting machines. But I can tell you there's no way, from what I've seen, at least in 2019, in the province of Alberta, that any of Elections Alberta would have rigged the election. There's no way, at least in the province of Alberta. Met them all. They were very kind to me. I learned a tremendous amount in absolute, real political science. Many board meetings. I never had any issues. If anyone treated me better than anyone, it was Elections Alberta, and I absolutely learned the autocracy of Canada. You can thank Elections Alberta and the people of Elections Alberta. Now, what's coming federally, what Trudeau's proposing in privy, in absolute crown power, absolutely will blow the election system up. I believe that. Multiple polling days, mail-in ballots way after polls close, easy to corrupt. I believe that. I know the system. I lived it. I went through it in absolute. But know that Jason Kenney can charge you all $10 million, which is exactly the same cost of an Alberta Constitution, which would be the equivalent of literally hundreds, if not thousands, of referendums in one shot. Same cost, with massive world experts. That I can guarantee you. Jason Kenney is going to charge you the same amount of money for a referendum that constitutionally he can't deliver on. And he knows this. He absolutely knows this, Alberta. He has wasted, coming on 3 years of your time, it's going to be, by the time this is all said and done, to deliver diddly squat. And you have the Financial Post with strong ties to the same nation that's named in your Constitution that takes your sovereignty. This goes the same for the National Post as well, too. I've traced it all. I know who pays what, where the money comes from. That's my gift as an economist. Absolute 100% truth. Jason Kenney is leading you all right into a garbage can. And he already knows, because he was with Harper and he absolutely voted the new formula forward that absolutely doubled the amount Alberta pays every 4 years. Justin Trudeau said, thank you. I love this formula. Does well for me with Upper and Lower Canada. I'm going to leave it alone. Trudeau hasn't changed it. Why does equalization continually grow at an astronomical pace while Alberta's debt continually expands at the same pace? Actually, a little bit more. Double. Because of centralization. Another constitutionally formulated ideology created by the Liberals. There's only been Conservatives and Liberals federally. Your Constitution, Section 91, grants absolute authority to Prime Minister, whoever that is. That's what it says. But any mode means necessary. And through Governor General, which Jason Kenney can file his referendum, and the Governor General will shoot it down. And so will the Lieutenant Governor. And so will, in accordance, both the Supreme Court of Canada, should you go that route, and even with the provincial referendum, the Lieutenant Governor is going to shoot it down, because the Governor General can tell them to. And if you file an appeal, Albertans, to Superior Court or to Supreme Court, guess what happens? You lose, because guess who is in full charge of those two courts? Supreme Court, Governor General override. Superior Court of Alberta, Lieutenant Governor of Alberta, override. You're finished. You're finished. No Prime Minister is going to allow it to go through. And why would you? Both parties have already abandoned Alberta. Liberals were the first to abandon them as soon as Justin Trudeau was elected. That's Canada. This isn't new news to the Atlantic provinces. They're getting it too. This is what you all need to know. There is no getting out of this. The only way truly out, and Jason Kenney knows, absolutely, because he was federal crown power, Privy Council, and now he's Premier of Alberta, in charge of all your civil rights, in charge of all the division of powers of the province. And just like Legault, hours ago, both of them are feeding their respective provinces an absolute load of BS. The same BS their predecessors have been constantly regurgitating every 4 years. It rears its ugly head. And they never deliver diddly squat. They get all these followers and people across, and they pay media with your tax dollars to lie to you. And you all smile. Most of you smile. I've already looked at that tag. I'm not allowed to comment, like, or anything on Jason Kenney. I'm absolutely banned in every conceivable way because Jason Kenney doesn't like the idea of somebody telling the truth, because he is the biggest liar politician probably in Alberta's history. And he will destroy the province. Nothing he is doing is going to do anything. It's a complete lie. But it gets so many of you to believe that he loves you, that he knows what he's doing. He's got a high school diploma. He's a con man. He's always been a con man, and he's always sold Alberta down the river. He always has. That's equalization. You can't break a majority of the provinces. You can't win a majority of Canadians to support your referendum, which means Alberta will pay and pay and pay. The worst thing that could happen is that you elect the Conservative Party of Canada. And if you don't believe me, Alberta, read Pierre Poilievre's publication, February 21st. Now, the Western Standard has seen it, and they have me blocked, and they threw me out. I didn't publish this, Pierre Poilievre did. So right away it's, don't, you're going to ruin the Conservative Party. You're going to kill my province, Alberta. You're going to do what Stephen Harper did. They destroyed Ralph Klein. Remember that? Oh, I paid off the debt over my dead body. Harper was his biggest enemy, Albertans. Wake up. Ralph Klein reinvigorated Alberta after Pierre Elliott Trudeau destroyed it. He was in the worst oil prices recorded over a very long time through a crushing amount of force from a federal evil government aimed to destroy Alberta, destroy the West. And Ralph Klein brought it back from death. It did have a toll on public service, and people can fight, but he created a formula. He changed the game because he was a municipal mayor. And Canadians, you can learn a lesson about this one particular premier. He was a mayor of a major city. Mayors of all cities have absolute rules of governance, how to govern, and massive restrictions placed on them by premiers, full autocrats. They learned that. Ralph Klein learned that as mayor. He learned to manage money, he learned to manage large municipality, and he learned how to do it with a budget. And when he got to provincial premier, he took all of that and gave all of that gift to every Albertan, and he turned everything around. People can argue forever, oh, he destroyed this, he destroyed that. He made a formula that said, if the private sector and Alberta resources go down, so does the public sector. If we can work together, uniting all Albertans in the province of Alberta, if we can unite and we can create a boom in resources, in primary sector, in private sector, I will fund the equivalent to public sector. And regardless of what people say or what he sold or what he did, not everything was great and wonderful, but the reality was when he finished in 2006, Alberta had never had public sector funding as high as it was by the time Ralph Klein left office. You can look at the real economics. You can look at how many nurses, how many doctors per capita, and compare it across the entirety of Alberta's history. And you know what? Ralph Klein gets one of these. He blows away records of many of the greatest presidents of the United States. Absolutely. He destroyed even Donald Trump. Even Donald Trump and what Trump was trying to do because of Trump's excessive, massive borrowing and spending. That's the truth. You can look at that on my timeline too. Ralph Klein holds the record of not only paying off all the debt, but absolutely bolstering all the ratios of economics when you look at doctors per capita, nurses per capita. There was a period he had to take that down, but it was a period of tremendous debt, a period of tremendous crash in oil prices. It's real, it's historical, it's there. If you don't look at it as you're trying to go left and right, but in absolute real numbers, you will see it's absolutely true. It was Stephen Harper who had him thrown out of the Conservative Party. I was a young man. I fell for it in 2001 too. And by the time I realized what had happened over a decade later, of course, already Klein was long gone by then. And I went, oh, I made the wrong choice. But so did all of you. And this is coming to rear its ugly head again. Jason's the wrong choice. There is nobody that I've seen that promises to do for Albertans. And this is just for the province of Alberta, but it does apply across Canada. There is nobody that promises you anything if they're not talking constitutional reform, absolute, and giving the power to the people. We can turn this around for Canada entirely, end the division and the left and right narratives that are destroying the country. And it's radical agendas, both right and left. I see it every day. So far to the right, you become left. So far to the left, you become right. They're indistinguishable. Indistinguishable. All of those, the bulk of the common sense in the middle, there's the range of right, the range of left, but they're sitting in the middle, meaning they're not up here with the idiocracy of full autocracy where it's my way or the highway, my rights trump yours. It's people in the middle that there's balance, that sometimes they'll fall, and that's where we need to be. But the narrative's so far right and left. They're all the same. We're really, no, it's my right to demand it's like this. And if you think outside of my rights, they don't exist. And you know what? That's the left extreme, and it's the right extreme. That's what rules Canada now. And because of those extremes, those autocrats sit way up here strong, and they crush that middle, which is what is the middle class. The middle class has been moved down here. And all the rights are up there with a few. They keep taking away your rights and freedoms, and you keep going down, 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 base of the pyramid. Soon to be all officially a third world. That's coming. We're going to fall to second world. Today I talk about vaccines, and there's people, freaking out, mandate me. I didn't mandate anybody. If I choose to do one so I can get across the rest of Canada, I'm going to do it. That's me, my body. I've taken all kinds of abuse in my life. My body, my choice. I look at it like that. I'm not hurting you. I'm only going to be hurting myself. Why is that concept so hard for people to understand? Why are the choices of how I raise my children? We're all fine citizens. I'm very proud of my son. He's doing very well in life. He's a good man. He's doing well. He's a professional. My daughters, I'm sure, will be too. They're good people. There's so many good people out there. What does it matter what rights and freedoms people want to choose? Why does that bother so many people? Because, again, it's the extreme left and the extreme right. That's what happens. That's what we're in right now. And it's superpowering the autocrats to steal more and more, crushing people down here. And it's because you can't accept the fact that other people have different ideas, different directions, and you can't accept that. That's the real scary part of Canada. And it's why filthy autocrats like Jason Kenney can lie their face off to your face, tell you about a mythical change for Alberta, and many parties who don't want to address the Crown talk about how they're going to get all this money back from Canada and give it to Albertans when it's never going to happen in a million years because nobody wants to change the Crown power. If we actually address that, all these major cities where they have major taxation, you would see a reallocation of money anyway. You would see Toronto with the same amount of money, if not probably a little bit more, when you look at how revenue should be dispersed, when you look at who's paying taxes, where their taxes are going. And yes, you should help the regions where they're weak. We should look at real ways of bolstering the economy for everybody. There's always going to be a certain amount of socialism attached, because if you don't place that in there and you rule in 100% capitalism, you're going to see people fall down the toilet too. And it's sad. It's sad what people think or what the government can bamboozle you in, what mainstream media will sell you, even though it's absolutely false, absolutely not legal whatsoever. And it's ignored. It's ignored. And politicians clap, and the media was paid. And the more I watch it, and the more I go throughout the world with world experts, they look at this and they're all going, wow, Canada's a joke. I can't believe it. And they don't even know. They don't even know. It's sick. It's sad. It's unbelievable. And many what were third world countries, and you're told they're not anymore. They're coming up to second class and soon to be first class nations. Where does that leave Canada? You're astronomically borrowing so much more for such a very long period. They've got it so that we're going to be borrowing at this astronomical rate for the next 3 years. And if you elect CCP, they've got all the same agendas, the Liberals, just different special interests, but ultimately the same agenda goals. Again, you can look at it February 21st, regardless of independent media's deleting me and blocking me. I didn't write the document. You all need to see it, especially you in Alberta, so that you know exactly who's your friend and who isn't, because none of them are. None of them are. And it's not just Alberta, even though that's extreme from Alberta to that upper and lower Canada narrative that will exist forever. And so many just want to take the crown for themselves. They'll tell you they want independence, or they want autonomy, or they're going to do all these mythical things for you that are not legal, not even any way, shape, or form written into any Canadian law. Absolutely the Constitution, not there. Not a privy of the province. Just like Legault lying his face off today, and the media saying he's going to pass a provincial bill. This provincial bill can't override the federal division of powers. He's a liar too, but Jason is lying to Albertans about a tremendous amount of money that he knows his buddies in federal Ottawa, at least in his conservative side, are absolutely going to pay all that off to that upper and lower Canada. They've already committed to it. It's there. It's published. February 21st, Pierre Poilievre. It's registered in the House of Commons under his shadow cabinet. They've already registered it, made it public. But yet no conservative calling themselves conservative wants to address it. You don't need to read the 355-page document of absolute agenda and socialism, Great Reset. Exactly like the Liberals, just different special interests. You already know carbon tax is coming. What's Jason Kenney say about that? Oh yeah, he was the one who told you to vote for O'Toole. He said O'Toole was the guy to vote for, even though I told you in 2015, because I was a CPC card-carrying member and went through it, Aaron O'Toole with the Maxime Bernier that you all focused on, and absolutely at that time Andrew Scheer, and you all said, what? Something's wrong here. How did he win on so many re-voting terms? 13 of them, 13 counts and re-votes, and all of a sudden Andrew Scheer wins. And Aaron O'Toole's platform and all that, he came in fourth place. Very, very extremely liberal and socialist. I saved that. It's on my timeline. You can look at it from 2015. I've republished that a few times just to remind people. But now, what for? People want to believe whatever they want to believe anyway. But you were told he was a socialist. I told you he was a liberal. He was a liberal in 2015. His platform was nothing like he campaigned on that you all voted him. Because Canadians forget. They always forget. Within 2-3 months, Jason Kenney will crack out the socialist money like he has been all year. He'll be cracking out the socialist money. Hey, taxpayers, I'm worse than any socialist you've ever seen. I'm going to give you billions of money borrowed against your children, your grandchildren, and you. You'll never have the standard of living you've ever had ever again. But I'm going to give you all this money right now, telling you it's all good, even though it's only going to foreign special interests, really. It's what they've been doing to the natives forever in Canada under the Indian Act. They're getting away with an Indian Act for all Canadians. Call it the Canadian Indian Act. That's what they've been doing. Because again, in our Constitution, there is no we the people. There's no Canadians whatsoever. You don't exist. And there's no First Nations. You don't exist legally. You're just people to kick around. That's it. They take everything that you produce at will and disperse it among foreign interests. It only gets worse federally. Provinces have a major tax source, but 2 to 3 times more than that, depending on the province, is federal. And you look around, you barely see anything. What you see when you look around is from the municipalities. And sure, there's a small portion of subsidy from the province, small portion from the federal government, but literally what you see around you comes from your smallest tax source, your municipal taxes, and your fees, licensing, all that in your municipalities. But all of the provincial stuff, there's hardly anything you see. You can see some highways, healthcare, okay, education, yeah, that's substantial. But when you get into the federal government, you don't see nothing. You hardly see anything. You look around, you're going to be hard-pressed to find your tax dollars or the deficit, massive debt shown around you. You're going to go, I can't see anything. Looking around right here, I can't. When I pick that, I pick this, I pick this, I pick that. Uh-oh, that's all municipal. That's property taxes. That's the smallest source of my taxation. And you look at provincial, you go, well, okay, there's this, and geez, what's going on here? That's a lot less, but I'm paying so much more. And then you go federal, and you're like, oh, there's nothing. That's reality. It's sick. It's sick. Canada's sick. Sicker than any of them. There's rules against this in the States, rules against this in countries like Russia. You can go to states much, much poorer than Alberta by a large, large, large margin, similar in population. And guess what? Their whole entire municipal state debt fits in just 1 year of one premier, not Jason Kenney, because his years have been so explosively borrowed that there's no precedent for that. But the premier before, Rachel Notley, won just one of her years as premier in her debt and deficit against the people of Alberta. Only $4.4 million at that point of time. The entire state debt since its entire existence and all of its municipalities fit in one deficit year of Rachel Notley. That should terrify Albertans. It should terrify all Canadians, because Alberta is just the province I know the best. But I'm learning the rest, and it's all there, absolutely. I know all the scumbag deals. I'm learning more and more the further I go across Canada. This is my video today, everybody. I hope you all learned something and learned that nothing Jason Kenney and the Financial Post or the National Post are telling you is in any way, shape, or form truthful. It's an absolute lie. And it's also not legal. Not legal in Canada and not legal in the provinces. It won't be passed by the highest court of Alberta, the Supreme Court. Won't be. It will definitely not be passed by the Supreme Court of Canada, the highest court in Canada. Jason Kenney will lose, absolutely. Could never even win an appeal. How much more money are Albertans going to pay to get fleeced and flogged? But it's a great way to distract you. And so many, regardless of this video and its absolute truth, so many are going to believe, and as they already are, thousands. I've already looked at the post he made. Thousands. Oh, he loves us. He's gonna get all this done. Even though he's the one who voted and wrote the last equalization formula that is the reason you pay so much now. Do you really honestly believe that Jason Kenney, after creating, voting for, and passing it through, is going to become a premier and get rid of it when he knows absolutely how it was ratified? How to undo it is impossible for the province of Alberta, and no referendum can do that. He knows that. He was Privy Council. He was in the Harper Ministry, and he knows it can't be done. So why do it? Because you will believe him. So many of you will believe him absolutely, even though he's an absolute 100% liar, as is Financial Post and the economics majors that work for the Kenney government who wrote the story, and National Post, who's absolutely a foreign power that loves colonialism. That power is named in the Constitution of Canada. It's within the first few lines. You're all being played. You're going to continually be played every 4 years, absolutely eternally, until you, the people, elect a party that's going to destroy the crown. And again, all Canadians, Albertans, it only takes a minority government. That's it. Once you have a prime minister, even a minority, they have the crown power to fire governor general. All lieutenant governors can appoint a governor general loyal to the PM. All lieutenant governors of every province loyal to the PM and the party. And guess what? They don't send any acts or bills, don't allow legislatures to legislate in every province and every territory, don't allow any party in any opposition or the party running to do any kind of parliamentary bills, which is legislation, again, federally, until you, the people, get absolute constitutionalism, meaning federal dismemberment, redesign. Every province gets we, the people, constitutions by you, the people, by absolutely the best experts in the world, bar none. Nobody's ever brought that forward. I have. And you can look at Drew Barnes. He knows it's true. One MLA in Alberta has already participated in what I'm working on. Drew Barnes has already seen Richard Albert and seen his tremendous presentation that a lot of you got. He's a good friend of mine. I think I'll do another video later when I get up, and I'm going to tag those two. We'll do another follow-up with Drew Barnes, Richard Albert, and what can be done. And I think I'm going to give a public address to Drew Barnes, exactly what he should do now, as he still is an MLA, independent, what he can do. And he needs to join a party. But he's going to have to sell that constitutionalism that he knows and loves, and he knows how very, very important it is. He participated in it with me and Richard. We will see. Thanks, everybody. Share, share, share. I know it was long, but it's important to talk about these things. I know for a lot of you it's repeat, but so many come on that are new that have no idea at all. It's important that every time We catch politicians in absolute lies. We explain it, we share it out, and we talk to everybody. This is how we fix Canada, little by little, little by little. Thanks. Have a great morning. Bye now.